Have you ever had an intense feeling that made you feel like you needed to question everything? I don't just mean doubting. I mean, have you ever experienced a crisis of faith so intense that probably the truest form of belief you could find was the objectivity of an acid trip? Really? Well, then you must have something in common with my guest author. Hi, I'm indie author and vlogger Garrett K. And on the February edition of Author Awareness, I'm interviewing Christopher Kimball Bigelow, an incredible author from Provo, Utah, with whom I've recently had the pleasure of collaborating. Hey, happy Saturday. We are definitely well into February. The Super Bowl's over, and Tom Brady is sulking somewhere in a crevice in New England while the Chiefs made all the touchdowns and won. Personally, I'm a hockey fan, so I was watching movie trailer spots when I wasn't, checking NHL scores on my phone. Big question, how in the heck is Han still alive? Anyway, it's also less than a week until Valentine's Day, so if you're panicking about getting your significant other a really special gift, you can pick up copies of all 4 of my books on Amazon just by clicking on the link in the description below. Or, better, you can get him or her a nice subscription to Audible. I'll bring that up again towards the end of the video. Speaking of clicking on things, be sure to subscribe and click the bell icon for notifications on new videos. I launch new vlogs every week in a variety of themed playlists, so you can set these notifications for all videos or according to your preferences. All right, let's get into the interview with Christopher Kimball Bigelow. Hi, Chris. Thanks for joining me. Tell me about the book you just had come out in January.
So, Acid Test, LSD to LDS, is a personal memoir depicting my own spiritual journey in the mid-1980s. And at that time, I got into the punk and new wave scenes of Salt Lake City. But as a person who'd been raised Mormon, I had some, you might call it brainwashing, you might call it a good background. I think it's both at times, that I also had to reconcile. And so the book is about trying to weigh the difference between the path I had chosen as a rebellious teen and was there really something to the way I had been raised, and how could I find my own way in the future?
So how did you get into writing?
Yeah, so I've probably been a long-term writer. As a kid, I used to like to tell stories. A lot of times it was through drawing, but I wasn't a talented artist. But then as I got older, I was able to turn that into a good writing talent. And I've been able to carve out a career as a professional writer, mostly doing marketing and corporate communications type stuff that pays well. But this memoir is more of a personal creative project that I've really enjoyed doing. I've written one previous novel in the same mode, and I would like to do more of this kind of writing, but you got to pay your bills. And so far, I haven't seen any evidence that I could be a 100% creative writer and do that. But maybe this book will change things. Who knows?
What are some of your inspirations as a writer? Do you draw from film, music, nature, art, etc.?
Yeah, of course, I'm a reader. I would say my favorite author is John Updike, who's just a terrific, realistic, contemporary American novelist. His stories are contemporary American, most of them the ones I like the most. But I also draw a lot from humor. I love comedians like Louis C.K. and others. And I know that Louis C.K. is a little bit in the doghouse, and maybe a lot of it in the doghouse, but I really admire his frankness about his own personal experiences. And I've tried to, and there's other comedians that have done that as well, and I think I've tried to do some of that in my own writing. with this book, Acid Test, as well. I'm also very into music. The book Acid Test, music plays a huge role in it, the punk and the new wave, but also some other music that has influenced my life and my creativity. So mostly, I gotta add movies. I'm a big movie goer. I learn a lot about storytelling and emotion and that kind of thing from movies. So those three things are my biggest influences.
What has been the hardest part or biggest challenge in the creation of your work?
The hardest thing about doing Acid Test was definitely trying to decide how much personal skeletons in the closet I was willing to describe, since it was a very personal story of a time when I was open to really anything, sex, drugs, rock and roll. And I decided to be pretty transparent about sex and drugs, and also spiritual things, and I feel good about it now. I did not love having certain family members and friends read the book. I wished I could have kept it limited to certain audiences, but you can't really do that when you publish a book. So that was the hardest thing, is trying to figure out how transparent to be. I also decided I have an audience problem. Am I writing to other Mormons, or am I writing to people outside of the faith? That's a constant struggle. And so with this book, it was difficult to figure that out. And one thing I did is I didn't put hardly any swears or profanity in. And that was I didn't want to give potential Mormon readers such an easy excuse not to read the book. There it is.
If you could give any advice for other would-be authors out there, what would you tell them?
You know, I don't have a lot of advice that hasn't been said before about how to write. I mean, keeping your butt in the seat, a daily or regular routine, allowing yourself to write nasty, poor quality first drafts, all those kinds of things are important. But what I would say is, my advice would be managing expectations of what writing means to you and what place it has in your life. It's really easy with writing to get high hopes, high expectations, and that can be intimidating if you're trying too hard to be successful from the get-go, and it can warp your writing and maybe even cause you to give up. And it can also lead to disappointment when things don't turn out the way you hoped as far as getting the book out there. So I would say lower those expectations, be really thrilled with any progress that you make, sharing a draft, getting some good responses, publishing the book through self-publishing channels can often, if you sell 100 books that way, that's a really great thing, and that should, I've had to teach myself sometimes to be satisfied with that, and sometimes it's gotten bigger than that, and sometimes it does not. What's your motivations? Keep your expectations in line with those, and enjoy the journey of writing.
A big thank you goes out to Chris for his willingness to participate in this interview. I don't know about everyone watching this video, but I really enjoyed getting to know about his story. Having read his book, Acid Test, LSD versus LDS, a couple of times through, I have to say it's an incredible read. Especially if you're the kind of person who's really big on personal narrative and nonfiction. Now you can find Chris's book on Amazon in hardback, paperback, Kindle, and as of February 3rd on audiobook as well. If you don't already have a subscription to Audible, which is an awesome platform for picking up and downloading audiobooks, you can start today by clicking on the link in the description below. Every new subscription gets you a 30-day free trial, and then it's just $14.95 a month after that. Each month you get a credit for one free audiobook, plus there's all sorts of additional free content that comes with the subscription. Best of all, credits roll over, so even if it takes you a while to get through an audiobook, the credits add up and you can download a bunch of new audiobooks all at once. I like my subscription. It's awesome. Hey, thanks for watching. There won't be any vlog next week as I'm taking a break, but I will be back 2 weeks from today for the February edition of Creators Corner. If you have any questions or suggestions for other material regarding this video or any others, please make sure to leave them in the comments down below. As always, like and subscribe. Be sure to share, and if you'd like to connect with me on Instagram and Twitter, you can do so by following me at GKJ_publishing. Also, if the vlogs aren't enough for you, Season 2 of Creators Corner, the podcast that is now online through Anchor.fm, Apple Podcasts, and other similar platforms. Have a great weekend. The vlog of the Five Kingdoms is filmed in Hanford, California without the use of a studio audience. And we can't continue making these videos without help from you guys. So be sure to click the subscribe button that's above my head and take a look at some of the other videos off to my left here. Like them, and most importantly, share them with your friends. Thanks for watching.